Imagine this moment. You're standing outside the office of someone important. Your boss, a client, maybe even a person you admire deeply. You've rehearsed what you want to say in your head 100 times. It's about asking for something you deserve, voicing an idea you know could change things, or even just starting a conversation that matters. And then it happens. Your heart speeds up, your thoughts start racing, and you wait. Just a little too long. The courage drains away, the window closes, and the words never leave your mouth. You walk away with that familiar, heavy regret. Why didn't I just say it? If this sounds like you, you're not alone. In fact, it's almost universal. Most people don't fail because they lack the skills, the talent, or the intelligence. They fail in critical moments because they hesitate. And hesitation is expensive. It steals opportunities, confidence, and momentum. Now let me tell you a story. There's a young woman. Let's call her Anna. Anna has been working in her company for 3 years. She's diligent, reliable, and her work has consistently been praised by her colleagues. But here's the catch. While others around her seem to move ahead, get promoted, and make their mark, she stays in the same place. Why? Because every time she considers speaking up, asking for a raise, suggesting a bold idea in a meeting, or even introducing herself to a senior leader, she hesitates. Her brain convinces her to wait, to think it through a little longer. And by the time she builds the courage, the moment has slipped away. If you've ever felt that same frustration, you know exactly what Anna's living through. But something changes one day. Anna stumbles across a deceptively simple idea. What if instead of overthinking, she gave herself only 3 seconds to act? 3 seconds to break the loop of hesitation. 3 seconds to go from thought to action before her brain has the chance to sabotage her. At first, she's skeptical. How could something so small actually matter? But then she tries it. The next time she feels the urge to say something in a meeting instead of waiting, she silently counts down in her mind. 3, 2, 1. And then she speaks. Her voice shakes a little, but she speaks, and the room listens. That's the first moment she realizes. The 3-second rule isn't about confidence magically appearing. It's about acting before fear has time to grow. So what's actually happening here? Why does this tiny trick work so powerfully? Let's break it down with a simple framework you'll remember long after this video ends. I call it the 3-second bridge. Imagine 2 sides. On one side is desire, the urge to act, the idea that lights up in your brain, the opportunity you want to seize. On the other side is action, actually speaking, moving, doing the thing. In between those 2 sides lies a dangerous gap, hesitation. And in that hesitation gap, your brain is wired to protect you by generating fear, excuses, and worst-case scenarios. The 3-second countdown acts like a bridge across that gap. It interrupts the hesitation before it can take root, carrying you straight from thought to action. And the beauty of this? The more you use it, the stronger that bridge becomes. Over time, hesitation doesn't feel like your default anymore. Action does. Think about how many moments in your life have been lost in that hesitation gap. Times you wanted to raise your hand, but didn't. Times you wanted to walk up to someone and start a conversation, but froze. Times you had the perfect idea, but let someone else speak first. Now imagine if, in those exact moments, you had a simple tool, a countdown so short it bypassed the overthinking, that nudged you forward. That's what Anna discovers, and it changes everything. She begins with small things, sending that email she's been drafting but never sending, speaking up in meetings, volunteering for small projects. Each time she uses the 3-second rule, she feels a surge of energy, not because the task was easy, but because she finally acted instead of waiting. And with each action, her sense of self grows. Her colleagues start noticing her more. Opportunities that once passed her by begin to land in her lap. And the best part? She feels like she's finally steering her own life instead of watching from the sidelines. Now let's go even deeper. There are 3 psychological forces at play here, and understanding them will lock this habit into your brain. First, the brain's safety reflex. When you think of doing something uncertain, like asking for a raise, your amygdala, the part of your brain designed to detect threats, activates almost instantly. It tells you, wait, pause, this could be risky. That's hesitation in action. Second, the momentum principle. Once you start moving, literally or verbally, it becomes exponentially easier to continue. That's why the hardest part of going to the gym is putting on your shoes, not finishing the workout. Third, the rewiring effect. Each time you override hesitation with action, your brain learns a new association. Opportunity means go, not stop. Over time, this rewiring builds confidence like compound interest. That's why the 3-second rule is so powerful. It doesn't try to erase fear, it makes fear irrelevant by beating it to the punch. Let's return to Anna. After practicing this for a few weeks, she faces her biggest challenge yet, asking her boss for the promotion she's quietly desired for over a year. Normally, she would procrastinate for months, waiting for the right moment that never comes. But this time, she uses the 3-second bridge. She sees her boss after a meeting, her heart pounds, her mind floods with excuses. He's busy, he'll say no, you'll embarrass yourself. Instead of spiraling, she silently counts down, 3, 2, 1, and the words come out, "Do you have a moment? I'd love to discuss my growth in the company." To her shock, he doesn't dismiss her. He nods, sets up a meeting, and weeks later, she's promoted. That single moment of action, powered by 3 seconds of courage, reshapes her career. And once she sees the impact, she starts applying it everywhere, in conversations with friends, in pursuing hobbies she was too shy to try, even in her personal relationships. The ripple effect is enormous, because here's the secret: confidence isn't built by waiting until you feel ready. Confidence is built by acting when you don't feel ready and proving to yourself that you can. Now let's bring this back to you. Think of one area in your life right now where hesitation is stealing opportunities. Maybe it's speaking up at work, starting a project, making that phone call, or even something as simple as introducing yourself to someone new. Picture that hesitation gap, the seconds where fear grows louder, and then imagine yourself using the bridge. 3, 2, 1, go. How different would your life look if you did that consistently? The truth is, you don't need to overhaul your personality, learn endless techniques, or wait until you feel confident. You need one habit: shrinking the gap between thought and action down to 3 seconds. That's it. It's almost laughably simple, but it works because it taps into the very core of how your brain operates. And here's the best part. Once you've done it a few times, you'll start craving the rush of progress more than you fear the discomfort. The brain loves momentum. Every small action fuels the next one. And suddenly, instead of being the person who waits and wonders, you become the person who acts. That identity shift, seeing yourself as someone who takes action, is worth more than any external success. Because once you trust yourself to act, the rest follows naturally. And that's the gift Anna's story gives us. Proof that confidence isn't a personality trait reserved for a lucky few. It's a muscle you build every time you count down and step forward. So let me ask you this. What is one moment you've been putting off? One conversation, one decision, one step that could change things if only you took it. Hold that moment in your mind, because in just a few minutes, I'll show you exactly how to hardwire the 3-second rule into your daily routine so it becomes automatic. But first, pause and notice how it feels just imagining yourself finally doing the thing you've been postponing. That spark of possibility you feel right now. That's what this entire method is about. It's about turning possibility into reality in the space of 3 seconds. So how do you actually hardwire this into your daily life? Here's the practical framework I want you to remember. I call it the 3 layers of the rule: spark, shift, and solidify. Each layer builds on the other, and together they make the 3-second rule not just a trick, but a genuine part of who you are. Layer 1 is the spark. This is where you simply try it in the smallest, lowest stakes moments possible. Think of it like striking a match. For Anna, this meant starting with speaking up in a casual meeting or sending that email she had been hesitating on. For you, it could be something as tiny as introducing yourself to a colleague, ordering differently at a cafe, or making that phone call you've been delaying. The key here is to practice the countdown: 3, 2, 1, go, and then act without worrying about perfection. Each spark is proof that you can override hesitation, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. And every spark teaches your brain a crucial lesson. I can move before fear controls me. Layer 2 is the shift. This is where the magic really begins. You start applying the 3-second bridge in moments that matter more, giving your opinion in a group, asking for feedback, starting that conversation you've been avoiding. The shift happens when you notice your identity changing. Instead of being the person who hesitates and overthinks, you begin to see yourself as someone who acts. This shift isn't just psychological, it changes how others see you too. People start to associate you with decisiveness, initiative, and confidence, even if inside you're still nervous. That's exactly what happened to Anna. As she used the 3-second rule consistently, her boss, her colleagues, even her friends began to treat her differently. They saw her as someone who had a voice, someone who could be trusted to step forward. And that external feedback reinforced her internal growth. That's the shift, the moment where a simple habit starts reshaping your identity. Layer 3 is solidify. This is when the 3-second rule becomes automatic, a default response to hesitation. How do you get here? Through repetition and reflection. Every time you use the countdown, you're laying down new neural pathways, teaching your brain that action is the natural next step after an idea. But equally important is reflection. Looking back at the times you did act and realizing how small those fears actually were compared to the rewards. Anna began keeping a simple journal of moments where she used the rule no matter how minor. Reading back over her entries a few weeks later, she saw a pattern. Almost every action she took led to progress, opportunities, or at the very least, pride in herself. That realization locked the habit in place. She no longer questioned whether she should act. She trusted the rule to carry her forward. And that's the point where a temporary trick becomes a permanent upgrade. Now, let's tie all of this back to you. Think about the next 24 hours of your life. There will be dozens of micro moments where hesitation will try to creep in. You might stop yourself from raising your hand in class, from sending a message to someone you want to connect with, from speaking up in a meeting, from trying something new. Each of those moments is an opportunity to use the 3-second bridge. If you catch yourself hesitating, don't analyze it. Don't negotiate with your brain. Just count down 3, 2, 1 and move. That tiny burst of action could set off a ripple effect you can't predict yet. Remember, you don't need to be fearless. You just need 3 seconds of courage. And here's something most people overlook. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is action in spite of fear. Fear will always whisper excuses, but the countdown drowns them out. You don't need to control the fear, you just need to shorten the space where it can grow. That's why this method is so effective. It's not about suppressing emotion, it's about outpacing it. And once you've proven to yourself a few times that you can act while still feeling afraid, fear loses its grip on you. You stop waiting for confidence and start creating it. Think back to Anna one last time. She didn't transform overnight into someone who never doubted herself. She still felt nerves, she still overthought sometimes. But the difference was that she no longer let hesitation win by default. 3 seconds at a time, she built a new trajectory for her career, her relationships, and her self-image. What seemed impossible, asking for a raise, being heard in a room, taking chances in her personal life, became normal. Not because she changed who she was, but because she changed how she acted in those critical first moments. And you can do the same. The next time you catch yourself holding back, remember, hesitation steals opportunities, but 3 seconds can win them back. Picture that bridge in your mind, the bridge from thought to action. Count down, step forward, and trust that the rest will follow. This is not about being reckless. It's about honoring the moments where your future is decided and refusing to let fear make the choice for you. So here's your challenge. Today, not tomorrow, test the 3-second rule. Pick one thing you've been postponing, no matter how small, and use the countdown to do it. Feel the shift in your body, the rush of energy when you act instead of wait. Then do it again tomorrow and the next day. Because every small action compounds into a life where hesitation no longer defines you. Action does. And once you live that way, you'll never look back. 3, 2, 1, go. That's the moment your new story begins.